Warning! Kinda Murdery contains adult themes, explicit language, and descriptions of violence. It is not suitable for anyone, and we recommend you stop listening now.
True crime with a dash of the paranormal, the garish, the strange, and the darkly comic. I'm Zevon Odelberg, and you've found your way to Kinda Murdery, a place that means more than just murder. It's my very own pocket dimension, home to a curated collection of bizarre and compelling stories, the unsolved, the unsettling, and the unbelievable. I cover it all, just so long as it's kinda murdery. Hey everybody, welcome to Kinda Murdery. I'm your host, Zevon Odelberg. Huge thank you to Jerry and Tracy Polly for once again inviting me to be part of the annual Hillbilly Horror Stories Halloween special. Since this is Kinda Murdery, and it's also a Halloween special, of course, I'm going to be telling you a Halloween murder story. But first, I've got a question for you. What do the Columbo crime family, an FBI mob buster, an Oklahoma City bombing and 1993 World Trade Center bombing terrorism informant, and a Florida sport fishing charter captain have in common with New York teenagers locked in a vicious egg-throwing fight? You guessed it. The answer is Halloween. If you want to find out how the heck Halloween could connect all these things, well then, you're in luck. Because the answer lies in today's true crime story, entitled The Columbo Crime Family Halloween Egg Fight Murder. If that piques your curiosity, then I suggest that you stow your baggage in the overhead compartment. Put your personal items underneath the seat in front of you. Buckle your seatbelt and let the worries of the day float away. But be warned, there's turbulence expected ahead. Kinda Murdery starts now. A cold case investigation fingers Pasco County, Florida charter fishing captain Craig Sobel as the gunman who killed a teenager in Brooklyn on Halloween night in 1989. Craig Sobel, 38 years old in 2006 when he was indicted for the 1989 murder of Dominic Masseria, was seemingly Pasco County, Florida's everyman. He moved to the area in 1994, married a woman from Odessa, and they had kids and bought property in Odessa and Hudson. He started a plumbing business and impressed people with his work. He also founded Real Crazy Charters. On local fishing websites, he advertised using the moniker Captain Scuppers. How cute. However, back in Sobel's home state of New York, Brooklyn, New York prosecutor Downey was knee-deep in an elaborate cold case investigation. For 2 months, the Brooklyn, New York prosecutor had been piecing together a retired FBI agent's alleged role in 4 mafia-related murders. As he investigated the murders in December, prosecutor Downey came across another unsolved murder from Halloween 1989. It was only tangentially related to the larger case, but he had the name of a suspect. On a whim, he typed the suspect's name into Google. A website called realfishy.com popped up. Perfect name to use, of course, if you're hiding out anonymously years after committing a mafia-fueled homicide. Real Fishy, that's what I'd pick, but I digress. Eggs. Yes, regular, raw, chicken eggs led to the Halloween murder in 1989. Young men from 13th and 15th Avenues in Brooklyn were fighting and throwing eggs at one another, until the guys from 13th Avenue decided to do something about it. That night, a white limo drove past Our Lady of Guadalupe Church on 15th Avenue. Dominic Masseria, a 17-year-old who dreamed of becoming a police officer, was standing outside the church. 2 shots were fired from a sawed-off shotgun inside the limo. The pellets sprayed Masseria's head and body. The limo's driver, Reyes Aviles, quickly surrendered. Detectives also talked to a passenger, 18-year-old Patrick Porco, in May of 1990. At this point, an otherwise unremarkable murder investigation became enmeshed in something bigger. Prosecutors thought that Roy Lindley DeVecchio, an FBI agent who led law enforcement's fight against organized crime during the 1980s and early 1990s, leaked information about Porco's police interview to Columbo family crime boss Greg Scarpa, whose son was also in the limo. Within a week of his police interview, Porco was shot dead. The original investigations into Porco and Masseria's death petered out. Then, In 2005, a tip from a Massachusetts congressman prompted prosecutors to research FBI agent DeVecchio's alleged involvement with the mob murders. The Halloween killing resurfaced as well. Prosecutor Downey and his colleague, Assistant District Attorney Brian Wallace, knew that the phantom shooter's name was Craig. They also heard that he had a Jewish-sounding last name that started with an S. As they dug through files in a police precinct basement, they came across a name written on a scrap of paper: Craig Sobel. Downey keyed the name into Google. A picture of Sobel appeared under the caption, "It doesn't get any fishier than this." Again, remarkable marketing by this man. Sobel had been in trouble before. Records showed that he spent 3 years in a New York prison for wounding an off-duty court officer at a cafe in Queens in October 1990, just 1 year after the Halloween murder. Sobel fired a shot that grazed the officer's face, then was shot by another officer at the cafe. The team moved quickly on its new information. In January, investigators contacted Aviles, the limo driver. Aviles agreed to cooperate as a witness. Investigators flew to Hudson and watched Sobel's movements at home and at work on a construction site. When they had his patterns down, they flew in Aviles. Investigators arranged for Aviles to wear a wire and bump into Sobel at work. "What are the chances?" Sobel said of the meeting, according to Prosecutor Downey. Downey wouldn't reveal the contents of Sobel's conversation with Aviles, but 2 months later, a Pasco sheriff's deputy arrested Sobel, and 3 days after that, prosecutors announced Sobel's indictment in the Masiria killing. He was held without bail in the Land O'Lakes jail and fought extradition to New York, where he would face second-degree murder charges. Sobel had no criminal record in Florida and declined to be interviewed by the press, as did his wife Sabrina. So this all sounds pretty bad for Craig Sobel, but they must not have gotten much of anything on Aviles wire, because here's what happens next. Sobel doesn't go to trial right away, and in fact his case becomes an afterthought as the law focuses in on convicting presumed corrupt Roy Del Vecchio, the FBI agent who was the head of most of the mob busting in the 80s and early 90s. Del Vecchio was the FBI's informant master, much as the CIA might have a spy master, the guy who knows all the secret contacts and sources of information. Well, he's accused of feeding the mob informant names for execution. Ultimately, Del Vecchio, who is supported by more than 30 other FBI agents who attend his trial, is acquitted. Del Vecchio was acquitted because the star witness in the prosecution's case against him, a gangster's mistress, was shown to be a liar after a reporter from the Village Voice somewhat mysteriously appeared with audio recordings of her telling a version of her testimony that conflicted with that she had sworn to in court in key ways. One of the key charges against Del Vecchio was that he informed the mob that Porco, one of the men in the car when Masiria was killed, was about to squeal to the police. Porco was subsequently murdered. But of course, Craig Sobel was supposedly the assassin in that very same car. So when the case against Del Vecchio fell apart, the case against Sobel became shaky indeed. Ultimately, Aviles, the man who'd worn the wire and tricked Sobel into a supposed confession down in Florida, would be the prosecution's star witness in the case against Sobel. However, he too was shown to be a liar on the stand, and went so far as to insult the virtue of the defense attorney's mother. With key witness Aviles proven a liar in court, combined with his extremely unlikable behavior and the fact that Sobel had lived a clean life for nearly 2 decades, Sobel too was acquitted. It seemed as though there would be no justice for Dominic Masiria. But Columbo family hitman Greg Scarpa Jr., the man who murdered Porco to keep him from squealing about Masiria's killing to the police, had been in that car the night that Masiria was killed. He was arrested on myriad racketeering charges, and Masiria's murder was thought to be one of his many sins. Behind bars, Scarpa Jr. became an incredible asset for the FBI, passing information to the feds from al-Qaeda terrorist and 1993 World Trade Center bomber Razmi Youssef. And, while housed in 2005 at Colorado's Supermax Federal Prison, Scarpa learned from fellow inmate and Oklahoma City bomber Terry Nichols the location of some explosives hidden in Nichols' home. After spending a lifetime terrorizing others as one of the mob's most trusted murderers, it seems that Gregory Scarpa Jr. became quite the asset in the war on terror. Racked with terminal cancer and not long for this world, Scarpa Jr. secured compassionate release in November of 2020, having served 22 years of his original 32-year sentence. Although it's unlikely that his exemplary record informing against other monsters from inside Supermax gave much comfort at all to the family of Dominic Mysteria. Cold-blooded Columbo family hitman Gregory Scarpa Jr. is the answer to exactly how Halloween connects raw egg-fighting teenagers to an FBI mob buster, a Florida charter fisherman, Al-Qaeda, the World Trade Center bombing, and Oklahoma City. Thank you so much to the Hillbilly Horror Stories audience for lending your time to me. And of course, thank you once again to both Jerry and Tracy Polly for opening the door when I said trick or treat and graciously giving me the sweet treat of 10 minutes to introduce myself to you. Also out today on the British Murders podcast, my collaboration with Stuart Blues as I tell the story of Dr. Devil's Breath and the murder of Cora Crippen. So please head on over to British Murders and give it a listen. I think you'll enjoy. I'll put a link in the show notes. If you enjoyed the Columbo crime family egg fight murder, please subscribe to Kinda Murdery. There's plenty more where that came from, and I'd be honored to have you. And don't forget to join me again on Sunday, October 30th, Halloween Eve. That's All Hallows Eve, for a brand spanking new Kinda Murdery Halloween story. I'm Zevon Odelberg, and this has been Kinda Murdery. Happy Halloween, everybody. If you've enjoyed today's Kinda Murdery, please tell your friends and family. Tell strangers. Leave a review. It's the best way to ensure that I can keep telling that special brand of bizarre and terrible tales that you'll only find here on Kinda Murdery.